Hello everyone, this is the Beeve coming at you again with a video. I was talking in a trial with some of the Crusader Guild members, and they were asking about my Stam Necromancer build. And I told them there was a video up on my YouTube, and a lot of them went there. Problem was that I realized that I can't seem to find if I've made an updated video since the new patch. I seen where I had done a parse with it, but no updates to any changes that I've made, and there has been a few little changes that I have made with this. So, wanted to real quickly make a new video and kind of go over things. We'll see if we can get through this as quick as possible. There's a good bit to go over, though. Alright, so currently my Stamina Necromancer, let's look at character sheet here. 10,000 maximum magicka, 15,680 or 633 in maximum health, and 25,803 in maximum stamina, which we ran out of food, so I'm using the Lavafoot Soup and Saltrice, which is a max stam and stam recovery food. It does not add health. When we have our food on now, it's 32,022 maximum stamina with a 1522 recovery. Weapon damage is 3263 with a 34% critical on my two-hand bar. And when I switch to my bow, weapon damage is 2642 with a weapon critical of 39.1. Both bars have a spell resistance of 15,445 and a physical of 11,518. I do have some points in my health because I'm using the Lavafoot Soup and Saltrice. This is helping me get to my 15,633 along with my Undaunted Metal as well. That is a little bit on the lower side. I run with an amazing healer, so I really don't have to worry about this too much, to be honest with you. Some dungeons can be a little bit of a problem. The newer ones kind of hung me up a little bit. I was just taking a little bit too much damage because of not knowing the mechanics. But I've done all the major vet dungeons, all the new DLC dungeons with this character, and as long as you have a good healer with you, you shouldn't have an issue. Now, I am running the Shadow Mundus Stone. Right now it's a little bit low, because my crit damage is only at 14% extra. But when I get a couple things transmuted where I'd like to have them, that will definitely go up. When it comes to inventory, I am using Stormfist, and I do have this infused for maximum stamina. I like the Stormfist. Some people would probably suggest Reliquin in this situation, and I've tested both. Reliquin has very similar damage output, maybe a little bit higher than the Stormfist, but I do have 129 stamina recovery, which before the patch was kind of necessary because it was it's an intense rotation, and it costs a lot of stamina to keep the rotation up. They've changed some things and made some things different that helped out my stamina a good bit, honestly, with this character. So I don't technically need to run this anymore, but I still like to have it on. It's just, I don't know, force of habit, I guess. But Head and Shoulders of those. Here's one of the ones I wish I'd had. I'd like for that to be in Divines. I just haven't transmuted it yet. My chest I haven't infused. Reliquin Jack, 833 weapon crit. Minor Slayer, 833 weapon crit. And light and heavy attacks stack harmful winds on the target, stacking up to 20 times. I see this. It's somewhere between 42 to 4,700 damage per second when it's at max stack. So, very OP set in my opinion. Along with the Reliquins, we are using Locistes. This is out of the Sunspire trial. The set itself is 124 weapon damage, Minor Slayer, 124 weapon damage, and when you activate a synergy, gain Major Slayer for 15 seconds, increasing your damage done to dungeon and trial monsters by 15%. So really big damage output on that. My jewelry, I haven't golded any of this out yet. I've been lazy, but I have all weapon damage enchantments on my jewelry, and they are all the bloodthirsty trait, which is more damage to enemies that are under 25% health, so execute phase. And necromancers have a built-in passive for execute phase as well, which increases your critical damage chance for Gravelord abilities slotted. We'll go over that in a minute, but it really, with that going off and with the bloodthirsty jewelry on, the last 25% of bosses just seems to fly right off. I am using the Maelstrom bow. It is infused with a weapon damage glyph on it. If I keep my weapon damage ability, or if I keep my bow damage abilities up without it falling off, I can keep this weapon and spell damage glyph up 100% of the time, giving me more weapon damage. So really nice. Some people would probably say that they should have a master's bow right here. I have it. I just haven't used it yet. I need to transmute it is what it comes down to. And I have 51 crystals, I just realized, so I'm probably gonna transmute it and give it a try. But for the most part, I'm still really fond of the Maelstrom bow itself, because it does a good bit of damage, and it's very powerful, plain and simple, and has a decent radius too, so it's really good in trash fights, trash mobs, lots of mobs, ad pools and whatnot. You get better damage with the Maelstrom bow and mob pools, but you will get better damage with the Master's bow in boss fights. If you have both, you could always keep both of them on you and just switch out. After fight the boss with the Master bow. After the fight's over, switch to your Maelstrom bow for the ad pools. Kind of however you want to do it. I am running a Lokistes two-handed axe. I like the axe because it applies a bleed damage over time, which is really nice. It hits pretty hard. And I have my double dot poisons on my axe as well. For this procs a good bit, and that's a lot of damage that goes off. 1650 over 4.5 and 1071 over 6.3. So good bit of damage that goes off right there. For the first 4 seconds of the poison going off, you're getting 2700 damage a second off of it. So really strong poison. I already went over the food that I got on. I am using, this is the food, Lava Foot Soup and Saltreese. Maximum stamina, stamina recovery. And then I am using weapon power pots, Major Brutality, Major Savagery, and Stamina with Major Endurance. As you can see, they all stay up for 47.6 seconds. That is more than the cooldown on it. Cooldown is 45 seconds, so if I'm hitting my pots when they fall off, I can keep this up 100% of the time. And I can do that because I have 3 ticks of medicinal use in my alchemy, which gets me my potions to last longer. So with those out of the way now, let's go over skills real quick and rotation. Skills, I'm still using Endless Hail. Most people are going to say to switch this to the Arrow Barrage. I have a little bit longer of a rotation, and what I noticed when I switched to Arrow Barrage is that, for the first 2 seconds that it's out, it doesn't do any damage, and then it lasts 8 seconds, and then it falls off. So there could be a 4-second difference between that and Endless Hail. Well, in that 4-second time right there, with my longer rotation, if that Endless Hail falls off and my weapon glyph stops proccing, not only am I not getting damage from my Endless Hail, I'm not getting that weapon damage bonus from my glyph that's on my bow as well. So after running parses with both, my Endless Hail had a 100% uptime on my weapon damage glyph, where my arrow barrage only had about an 80% uptime, give or take. I'm not the best at math, but it was falling off, and I wasn't getting back to it, and I could take something out of my rotation to get back there sooner, but then I'm just leaving DPS, out there with no... I'm losing DPS, so... I went with the Endless Hail Morph still, even though it doesn't do as much damage, but it lasts longer and helps keep my weapon damage glyph procced. I went with Consuming Trap because this is more damage over time than the Soul Splitting Trap. This is this ability you get for free when you make a character. So this is the ability that we use to replace Caltrops, because Caltrops took such a huge nerf in this game, unfortunately. The Soul Splitting Trap is also a good choice to use, because it hits everything around you, and I may actually morph it back to that Soul Splitting just for the huge ad pulls, because that's more AoE, single target damage over time type of, not AoE, but type of damage that can help take down trash mobs quicker in some dungeons, or in like Vet Black Rose Prison, or in Vet Dragonstar Arena. Just everything that's around the target that it attached to can really, help make sure that you're doing damage to everything. I am using Poison Injection. This is a direct damage ability that has a damage over time applied afterwards. It's a pretty decent damage over time. Now the execute ability on it did kind of get nerfed, unfortunately, but it's still pretty strong. And this Consuming Trap uses Magicka. So you're not spending stamina on this, and you can get your Magicka back. You won't run out of Magicka trying to put this out, as long as you're not being crazy with it, honestly. I'm using Barbed Trap. This is physical damage and then damage over time, and increases my critical damage done by 10%. Well, the Minor Force perk. Plus, whatever activates it is immobilized for 2 seconds. So, really, really nice ability. Necrotic Potency, I literally have this on here just for the ability to, suck up all the dead corpses in dungeons and regenerate my ultimate faster. Carve. This is the two-hand ability. It does a direct damage of 6930 and then a bleed damage over time of 12,535. Blast Bones, huge damage dealer, has a 2.5 second cast time on it right there. So cast is instant, but it takes 2.5 seconds for it to hit the ground running for the most part, but does 14,319 damage and applies Major Defile, which is, reduced healing received and health recovery by 30% for 4 seconds. That's not so much, not that big of a deal to me in PvE, but in PvP, that could be a pain in the butt for some people. I am running Executioner. Most people would have the Venom Claw or the Venom Skull slotted here. The Executioner doesn't do... it's... The Venom Skull does 85-39, and every third cast deals 20% more damage. That is a lot better than the Executioner, it really is. But when you hit that 50% range, the Executioner starts doing more damage, and it is... it has the ability to... crit, or it has the ability to hit for up to 400% more damage to enemies with less than 50% health. This got a little bit of a buff, actually. It used to be 350, now it's 400. So that is a huge damage dealer, and it is it's a little bit less Magicka. That's why I keep it on my bar that way. Some people choose to put the Venom Skull on their bar and have the Executioner on their bar as well, and only use Executioner when it comes to execute phase. I've done it both ways, and I could just be messing it up, to be honest with you. I might not find the right way to apply it correctly. But when I've done it both ways, with just running Executioner and then running Venom Skull and only hitting Executioner in Execute phase, I still got similar numbers regardless. So there wasn't much of a difference, and I'm talking less than 1,000 DPS. Like I said, I may not have utilized it correctly, but I like having the Executioner right here. It saves me stamina in the long run. I have Detonating Siphon. This ability is crazy to me. They removed the cost on this. This is free. As long as there's a corpse on the ground, you can use this. And it does 22,000 damage over 12 seconds. And when it expires, it does 7159 damage to all enemies around, and increases damage done by 3% just from having it slotted. Crazy that they removed the cost on this. It's some of the things they do in this game just really, really makes me scratch my head. Like, this is now a free damage ability, and I don't understand. I can't imagine that's going to last long. I think you'll see, the next patch, I think you're going to see this actually end up getting a cost to it. They're going to put a cost back on it again. But between them taking the cost off of that and this being a Magicka ability now, the stamina the stamina recovery issues that I had before have really went away. I could get to the end of a 3 million point dummy, and I would just be getting to the point to where I would be having problem. Like, if I had to go any further, I wouldn't have any stamina left, and that's just parsing by myself. Now I could finish this parse with probably 15 or 20k stamina if I wanted to. So crazy how they do that stuff, but I do have my Skeletal Archer. He got a buff last patch too. He is doing more damage than he did before. He's out for 16 seconds, does 5281 every 2 seconds, and 5% more damage than the previous attack. So he's going to attack 8 times, and he's going to do 5% more damage over from each previous attack. So builds up on damage on time, and he creates a corpse on death. So last but not least, we have the Pestilent Colossus. This thing is a monster. He slams for 11,400, 12,000, and then 12,063. But big thing is that after each slam, 3 seconds of major vulnerability is applied to anything that was in the target range, which has a range of 8 meters, or a radius of 8 meters. So it's a big radius. 24 feet. I mean, that's a big radius right there. And that major vulnerability is crazy. 30% increased damage for 3 seconds. And when it all comes down to it, it actually ends up being like 5 or 5.1 seconds of increased 30% damage increase. So, I mean, you really can't beat that. Now, the parse itself is an Endless Hail with Endless Hail, Consuming Trap, Poison Injection, Barbed Trap, with a light attack between each one of them. So, Endless Hail, light attack, Consuming Trap, light attack, Poison Injection, light attack, Barbed Trap, light attack. I'll do a bar swap. I'll do a fully charged heavy attack, just to help keep stamina up. I don't have to do it, it's just I'm used to doing it, and it really helps with sustain, in my opinion, so I just got used to doing it, and I keep doing it now. But I'll do a fully charged heavy attack, and then Blighted Blastbone. I'll do a light attack Carve, light attack Executioner, light attack Blastbone, light attack Detonating Siphon, light attack Skeletal Archer, light attack Blastbone, bar swap, start all over. I'm going to call out my Colossus. I'm going to put out my ultimate right before the target gets to, at least on my target dummy here. I'm going to call it out right as it's getting into execute mode, and you will watch how quick this execute mode goes with all this going on in that Colossus, because when you get into like your Gravelord line abilities here, your Death Knell here is, or Death Knell, whatever. Increase critical strike chance against enemies under 25% health by 10% for each Gravelord ability slotted. On my back bar, I have 4 of them slotted, so that's 40%. When I have my pod active, I am at 44% critical chance strike to begin with, so I'm at 84% critical rating. And when you match that with the Shadow Mundus Stone I'm using and the Colossus, it makes that last 750k, which is 25% on this 3 million dummy, melt off quick. You're going to see it in the parse. It's crazy. But did I have anything else that I was going to go over? Oh, champion points. Let's go over champion points real quick. So, nothing in Mage. Atronach, I got 14 Physical Weapons Expert, 61 Master at Arms, 48 Thaumaturge, 51 Precise Strikes, 47 Piercing, 49 Mighty. Ironclad, I have 81. Spell Shield, I have 43. 49 Hardy, 49 Elemental Defender, 48 Thick Skin. Nothing in the Lord. I have 40 in Warlord. I have 75 in Tenacity, 75 in Mooncalf. And I have 72 in Tumbling and 8 in Shadow Ward. I just make sure I have these here because I want this Treasure Hunter perk for better increased quality of items in chests, which is really nice. And I don't block that often. And I dodge roll more than anything else. So I really front loaded my dodge roll there. Some people like to even that out. You can do it how you like. Do it how you like in your green tree. Do it how you like in your red tree. I found from messing with my champion points, these points here are giving me my best damage output. And I've been tweaking them a lot, and I just find that this works pretty well, honestly. So I think that's all we got going here. So when I start this Skeleton Sparse, I'm going to make sure I have out my Skeletal Archer, and I'm going to call out a Blast Bone, then I'm going to bar swap and start my rotation. It's one of the things, like when I'm running into a boss fight, I'll call out my Archer, I'll call out a Blast Bone to run to the boss, and then I'll bar swap back to my bow bar and get ready to start DPSing. So that Blast Bone hits, my Archer starts hitting, and Endless Hail is all coming down at the same time, so you get a good jump on DPS. So let's go over this, let's go ahead and do this rotation here. And we had a Blast Bone not just stand there and not do any damage, so we're already behind on this one, unfortunately. I love when the Blast Bones come out and then just stand there pondering their own existence. And there it is again. And it won't let... Wow, we're going to stop this. 2 times in a row, those Blast Bones. Look, it finally just hit. They were supposed to fix this, and it actually, in my opinion, got worse. We'll try this again. Sorry, guys. That was, the fact that the Blast Bones are still not acting properly really messes up DPS sometimes, and messes up rotations, and it's awful. There's no reason it should be like that. So, let's try this again. You see a lot of damage over time. There's single target damage over times coming off that. You can almost not even see the skeleton himself because there's so many orange numbers popping off that body. Look how fast that last 750 came off. Okay, so 45,102. Now, that right there is that's a really good parse. You have to take into consideration as well that there was no tank here applying fracture. That's going to increase DPS, and I didn't get any. Synergies to proc my Locistes for my 15% more Major Slayer. So, you know, when you have a tank in here and I have synergies, and if I can keep the synergies up 100% of the time, that number turns into like 55, 57,000. So, really good damage output then. On the raid dummy outside, I can pull between 83 and 85k on it. So it is, this is a heavy damage, heavy built, build right here. It can do a lot of damage. It does have a little bit of health issues. You need a really good healer to keep you upright and keep you safe. But if you got a really good healer and you got synergies and you got a good tank, this thing will wipe places. Just unbelievably wipe. Now, if you wanted to switch out for the Artaeum Takeaway Broth, you would lose some maximum stamina in the process and lower your DPS in the process as well, but you would be giving yourself more health and more health recovery, and you just have less stamina recovery and less stamina, so you'd have to just pay attention to your stamina a little bit more. Dubious Camoran Throne would do the same thing, a little bit less than the Artaeum Takeaway Broth, but if you wanted something, if you wanted to, you know, put a little bit more health on him and you felt more comfortable with, you know, 18,000 health or something like that, that's definitely an option. Either one of those, because you're still going to get some recovery that you need. You're going to have a little bit less maximum stamina. You just have to really pay attention to your stamina and use your heavy attacks to your advantage, and just make sure you're getting your bubbles or shards for your stamina regeneration, or if you have a healer that's wearing the Symphony of Blades, that can really help as well. So there are other ways to, you know, put out you still be able to put out pretty good damage, and there are other ways to do this to where you have some health on your bar as well. So I think that's all I'm going to bore you guys with. Thanks for sticking this through. It was a little longer than I wanted it to be, but there was a lot of things to cover, and I wanted to make sure you understood why I did all of it. But I'm going to go ahead and stop this now. Thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it greatly. If you have any questions, comments, please ask below, or, you know, ask in the guild, or ask on PlayStation. I'm always available to help. I'll do whatever I can to help. But thank you guys. Have a good day.